Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, let's talk about one of the single biggest financial decisions you are ever going to make, selling your business. I mean, this is the result of years, maybe decades of your life's work. So how do you make sure you get it right? Well, a huge piece of that puzzle is who you pick to guide you through it all. And to really get why that's so important, we have to start with a pretty tough reality.
And that reality is this number. The data shows that over 80% of all businesses that get listed for sale, they never actually sell. Yeah, you heard that right. 4 out of every 5 owners who try to sell fail. It's a really shocking statistic, and it's the foundation for everything we're about to cover.
So, the multi-million-dollar question is, how do you beat those odds? How do you make absolutely sure that you land in that successful 20%? It really comes down to this. The single most important decision you will make in this entire process is choosing the right guide, the right business broker, to navigate this journey with you. Look, that 80% failure rate, it's not just a string of bad luck. More often than not, it's a direct result of picking the wrong partner. You see, your broker isn't just some agent who lists your business. They are the engine that drives the entire sale. And picking one just because they offer the lowest commission, or maybe they tell you the highest, most attractive price, that can be the fastest way to end up right in that 80% group.
Okay, so let's get practical. The very first step is to cut through all the noise, cut through the sales pitch, and figure out what a broker's actual track record is. You've got to separate the talkers from the doers, and these first few questions are designed to do just that.
All right, let's kick off with the most direct, bottom-line question you can possibly ask. How many deals have you, personally, closed? Not your firm, not the office down the hall, but you. When we're talking about your life's work, past results are pretty much the best predictor of future success you've got.
So what does a good answer actually sound like? Well, you're listening for consistent, recent activity. That leads to a great follow-up question. What have you sold in the last 6 months? A broker who's closing, say, at least 10 deals a year and can point to those recent sales, that's someone who is active and in the game. And just a word of caution, be wary of brokers who claim they only do multi-million-dollar deals. It sounds impressive, sure, but sometimes it's just a way to hide the fact that they haven't actually closed anything recently.
Okay, next question. You need to understand the machine that's working behind the person. Asking about the size of their firm isn't about how fancy their office is, it's about their real operational power to get your business sold. And the difference really boils down to 2 things: bandwidth and focus. A solo agent or a small boutique firm, they're doing everything themselves. The marketing, all the paperwork, the financial analysis, everything. And that just naturally limits how many clients they can truly focus on. On the other hand, a larger firm usually has a whole support team for all that back office stuff, and that frees up the broker to focus on the one thing you are paying them to do: find a buyer and close the deal.
All right, so you've vetted their experience. Now let's pop the hood and take a look at their actual sales engine. This next set of questions is all about the how. How specifically are they going to find the right buyer for your business?
Okay, lean in for this one. This might be the single most important question in this entire explainer. You have to ask, do you co-broker? What that means is, are you willing to cooperate, to share the commission with another broker if they bring a qualified buyer to the table? The answer to this should be a non-negotiable yes. And here is the absolutely shocking reason why you have to ask this. It's estimated that 90%, 90, of business brokers do not co-broker. Why? Well, they want to keep the whole commission for themselves, so they only work with buyers that they find directly. So what does this mean for you? The impact is massive. A broker who refuses to cooperate isn't really working for you. They're working for themselves. They are deliberately shrinking the pool of potential buyers for your business, which just kills competition and, frankly, tanks your chances of a sale. It's a huge reason that 80% failure rate is so high.
So, sticking with that idea of exposure, the next question is all about getting eyeballs on your business. Where is it actually going to be seen? You see, unlike residential real estate, there's no single universal MLS for businesses, so getting wide exposure is everything. You need to know how wide of a net they're actually going to cast.
This leads to a very simple, practical follow-up. Can you give me a specific list of the paid websites you use to market your listings? If they just mumble 1 or 2 names, that is a huge red flag. It tells you they aren't willing to invest their own money to get your business sold. A serious broker is going to be on multiple major platforms, spending their own money, thousands of dollars, to get you to the closing table. Now, this brings up a really common question people have. Shouldn't I hire someone who specializes only in my industry? And while that seems logical, the truth is, a broker's real specialty isn't their knowledge of one specific industry. It's their knowledge of the process. Their real expertise is in negotiation, navigating all the complex parts of a transaction, and, just getting deals across the finish line no matter what the industry is.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about the money. A good broker doesn't just market your business. They ground you in the financial realities of what the market will actually bear. And that's what sets you up for success. So that brings us to our next questions.
This one's critical. Here's a telltale sign of a real pro. They will never ask you, so what do you think your business is worth? They will tell you what the market says it's worth, and they'll back it up with hard data. So you have to ask them, can you show me the comps, the comparable sales of businesses just like mine?
And this is what that data, what those comps should look like. It's not a guess. It's a record of what businesses have actually sold for. The key number to look at here is the SDE multiple. SDE just stands for Seller's Discretionary Earnings. It's basically the total profit that a single owner-operator gets to take home. Businesses are valued based on a multiple of that number. As you can see, looking at recent sales gives you a really clear data-driven price range.
All right, time for the topic that nobody really loves to talk about, but you absolutely have to. You need to ask your broker to be completely blunt with you. Based on the current market, am I going to have to offer seller financing? This is where you, the seller, agree to hold the paper and basically act as the bank for a piece of the purchase price.
The data on this is just overwhelming. A good, honest broker is going to tell you, yes, almost certainly. About 90% of all small business sales involve some kind of seller financing. And as you can see, deals that are financed only by a traditional bank, they are incredibly rare. We're talking less than 1% of all deals. If a broker tells you otherwise, they are just not being straight with you.
So what happens if you just flat out refuse? If you say, nope, no seller financing, take it or leave it? Well, the numbers show that listings that aren't open to it see an immediate 40% drop in buyer inquiries. You're basically taking yourself out of the game for a huge chunk of the market right from the start. Okay, we've gone through their experience, their marketing engine, and the financial realities. This brings us to our final and maybe the most crucial area of questioning, making sure your broker's interests are 100% aligned with yours.
Look, the most important question about commission isn't how much, it's how. This is the final question. Do you work on a success-based fee or do you charge a big upfront retainer? A confident broker, an effective one, works on a success-based fee. They only get paid when you get paid, at the closing table. If a broker asks for a large fee upfront, that is a major red flag. It means they get paid for going through a process, not for getting you a result. So, as we wrap this up, it all really boils down to a shift in how you think about this. You're not just hiring a salesperson to list your business. You are searching for a true strategic partner who has the experience, the right engine, and the perfectly aligned incentives to guide your most valuable asset to a successful close and to help you secure your future. The choice is yours.